Haven't done a fighting game in a few episodes, let alone a licensed one, so here's X-Men Mutant Academy. This video will cover both the PS1 original and its Game Boy Color port. Before this video, I'd played the game for about 5 minutes at a neighbour's back in the early 2000s but remembered nothing about it. This time it's a case of me clearing a game from my massive backlog, as I bought this copy back in 2013 and took 9 years to play it. As for the X-Men franchise, I used to be a casual fan in that I watched the odd animated series episode if it happened to be on TV, but it's been so long I don't remember much. I watched a lot of X-Men Evolution in its time, but once again it's been nearly 20 years and I've forgotten a lot. I've also seen the first 3 live action films and enjoyed them well enough, the second more than the other 2. With the exception of the Deadpool films, I haven't seen past The Last Stand. No particular reason, just never got around to it. It was a common joke at one of my previous jobs that I've never actually watched anything in my life for the huge amount of iconic, popular or recent films I've just never watched. There's no story, so let's quickly move on to the gameplay. The game is on a 2D plane with 6 buttons, 3 punches and 3 kicks. Special moves are done with Mortal Kombat style command inputs, just pressing a few directions and a button rather than using quarter circles and the like. There's a meter that fills as the fight goes on that can be used for 3 levels of extra specials. First the Super, then Stringed, and then Extreme. These can also be boosted by pressing a series of buttons shown when starting up the move. Throws are done with the shoulder buttons. There is a form of juggling with moves that send the opponent into the air for you to jump up and follow with. The issue is movement feels really slow and clunky, leaving playing the game a lot less fun than it could be. Not awful mind you, but not good either. With that out of the way, now for playing the game and doing everything. So there's a list of things to do with every character. First there is the arcade, where I play against all 10 characters in the game to unlock an intro cutscene that forms a part of one long video when they're all put together. This can get tedious, as the order you fight the characters is exactly the same for all 10 playable characters, it's just the order they're listed on the select screen. Then there is Academy mode, in which I have to perform every one of the chosen character's attacks under a time limit for a grade from Professor Xavier, who presides over the entire mode while looking like a giant thumb. But it's incredibly easy to get all A's, which results in unlocking a character's movie costume, based on the first film. It also unlocks a second ending FMV for that character. Then there's Survival mode, in which I have to defeat 10 opponents with a character in their first costume to unlock a gallery of pictures of them from the comics, and 20 rounds in their movie costume to unlock a gallery of pictures of them from the first film. I'm going to cover these all at once per character, which means my standard boss deathblow compilation I use for fighting games won't appear for this version. So let's start with Cyclops. His optic blast is done with a down, forward and a punch button, the upper blast with down, back and a punch button, then there's 3 levels of lunge kick with down, back and a kick button. His super is super power lunge kick with down, forward and weaken mid kick. His string special is hyper rush with charge back, forward and weaken mid punch. His extreme is concussion blast with down, forward and all of weaken mid kicks and punches. Maybe it's because I played as him first and wasn't used to the game yet, but I just did not enjoy playing as Cyclops at all. Every single one of his moves felt really unsafe to try, and it felt like I get slapped out of any movement I made as him. It's gonna be tough giving my thoughts on each character like I did with the Dragon Ball fighting games because I don't remember too much of them. I know Cyclops gets shit on a lot it seems by fandom, and I remember the first 3 films weren't very kind to him either. In those films he felt like the Yamcha, as in the character who was a romantic rival to the much more popular character and has to be shit on to make that character look better. I've heard him called boring and an arsehole, but from what little I remember of the cartoons I've seen, I don't remember him being anything like that. Every character has a stage and he gets the danger room with Xavier hanging around in the background. His default outfit is the famous blue and yellow one that's in all sorts, the animated series, Marvel vs Capcom and such. I think it looks good and he even manages to pull off wearing bright yellow undies on the outside. After clearing his Academy mode I get the movie costume, and I actually think it looks better here than it does in said film. In the film it was all black and boring, but here it still has the same basic design, but they changed the colours to have his usual blue and yellow and it just looks so much better. Defeating Magneto in the arcade mode unlocks his intro cutscene, showing a city ravaged by Sentinels. One is about to step on a baby before Cyclops saves it in time by blasting the Sentinel's leg off. His ending for clearing Academy mode has him playing basketball but failing the shot when the car opens up for the jet with Jean calling him on board. Then there's the survival runs. One mercy with this mode is that the AI in survival can be quite stupid, on top of the fact you can change the difficulty. So I mainly stood still, spamming optic blasts and using throws if they got too close. 10 wins with the default outfit gets a load of comic pages and covers that happen to feature him. 20 wins with the movie costume gets screenshots of the film that also happen to include him. Just 6 images for 20 survival wins, and one of them has him way in the back. So next is Wolverine. He has 3 versions of Fury Claw with down, forward and a punch button, his Samurai Dive with down, back, weak kick and mid punch together, then the Sudden Dip with down, back, weak punch and strong kick together. His Super, Samurai Slice, is down, forward and strong kick. His String Special Delivery is down, back and strong punch. His Extreme, Weapon X, is mid kick, mid punch, down and weak kick together. Wolverine was probably the most fun character to play as in this game. It helps that he's really fast to offset how clunky the game feels otherwise. That you can just get in there, mash the controller with your forehead and still come out dominating with painful looking attacks is much appreciated after the unfun first go with Cyclops. Wolverine is so far above everyone else in terms of popularity, but I don't ever remember being really enamoured with him. I remember him being one of the characters I was least interested in watching in Evolution, and when I watched the second and third films, it was one of the first times where I could tell that other characters were suffering or being downplayed to make the popular one look better. I absolutely get the base appeal of him, but without being a super fan of the franchise, I never had that love for the character. His first outfit is also the iconic yellow and blue, and like Cyclops, I have nothing else to say other than it's a classic look. After getting all A's on his Academy mode and unlocking his movie outfit, it shows an issue some of them have. The costumes are adapted to the character's base model, and Wolverine's is based on his comic design, short and stocky, which Hugh Jackman is not, so this one didn't come over looking as good as Cyclops's. Clearing arcade mode shows his intro cutscene, which shows the adamantium being bonded to his skeleton during the Weapon X program, ending with his claws breaking free. His ending from clearing Academy mode is like 2 seconds long. Wolverine enters a door with a lion's mane on his head and is given the torso piece of his costume. Next comes his survival runs. Wolverine has no projectiles I can spam, so instead I just mash strong punch and keep whacking the opponents into the air while they let me. The gallery unlocked from 10 wins has a lot more images than Cyclops had, then 20 wins in the movie costume is more film photos. Third character going in order is Gambit. Now Gambit I had a lot of trouble playing as because the guide I was using had the inputs for his moves but didn't say that they were charge inputs. So back forward punch would be written, but it was actually charge back forward punch, which by the way is the input for his 3 levels of card toss. Falling card is done with down, back, punch and has 3 levels, then 3 levels of staff upper with charge back, forward and kick. His super special is charge staff with down, back, strong kick. His string special is card trick with down, forward, strong kick. And his extreme special is 52 card pickup with charge back, forward and both strong punch and strong kick. As said, the guide giving me a wrong idea of how Gambit plays really dragged down the experience of playing as him in arcade mode. By survival I knew, and I'd say he was a little more fun than Cyclops. Now Gambit I remember pretty much nothing about. The animated series was so long ago and he wasn't in Evolution or the first 3 films, so I just have no memory of him aside from him flirting with that cashier or whatever in the first episode. His default outfit is his 90s one once again, and it's definitely pretty 90s with the bright pink shirt and silver knee-high boots. The coat helps make it much less gaudy than it could have been. Clearing his Academy with all A's brings up a question. Gambit wasn't in the first film, so what do they even do with his movie costume? He gets a darker palette swap instead, with a grey coat and fully dark blue trousers and boots. No half cowl either. I guess this was a guess at what he may have looked like if he was in it. It's okay I suppose. On Clearing Arcade, his intro cutscene has him in a motorboat chase down a river until he uses his cards to destroy his pursuer. His ending cutscene when clearing Academy mode, he's shown completing a test in the danger room when Xavier does the "I'm listing all your flaws but telling you you're awesome at the end" thing. Then survival. The card toss is all I need. I get the 10 wins for the collection of comic pictures, then 20 with the movie costume for just a generic selection of movie stills since, once again, he isn't in it so there's no pictures of him to include. This brings me on to Storm. By this point I'd learned charge inputs were in the game, so I had an easier time. She has her electric drill with charge back forward punch, her lightning ball with down back and punch, then the lightning uproar with charge back forward and kick. All 3 moves have 3 versions each. Her super special is static force with weak punch, mid punch and up together. Her string special is hyper electric drill with back forward back and both weak and mid punches. Then there's the EMF with back forward back and both weak and mid kicks. Storm was one of the fun ones, mainly because she's fast, but not to Wolverine levels. Her specials all felt very useful, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but I felt like she has an easier time getting grabs in than most of us as well. So Storm is a beloved character, but I have so little memory of her. I didn't think her appearance in the first 3 films were all that memorable. I don't remember a single second of footage of her in Evolution. I remember only the tiniest bits of her from the animated series, and those were bits where she spoke very overly dramatic and I found it a bit too cheesy even as a kid. She's definitely a character my brain's choice of memories has screwed over. I don't know what her default outfit is from, but it's okay, but not as memorable as her outfit from the animated series. All Liaison Academy gets her movie costume, and once again it isn't an exact carryover, they messed with the colours. Instead of all black, they've added a lot of blue to it, and once again I think it improves the look. You clear her arcade mode and her intro cutscene's about half a second long. She flies through a city, gets grabbed by a sentinel's hand, breaks out, and that's it. Hope you don't want a worthwhile reward for your playthrough. Her Academy mode ending has her talk with Xavier, who offers her a place in the X-Men, despite her thinking she wasn't good enough. The cynical side of me thinks that Xavier only talks through telepathy in these FMVs, so the animators didn't have to bother with animating his mouth. For survival, spamming the lightning ball is the way to go. 10 wins, and I noticed her outfit in this game isn't actually in the comics gallery, so I have no idea if it was created for this game or not. 20 wins in the movie costume and they get a movie gallery. These things really aren't worth it. Slog through 20 matches for an image of Halle Berry on an invisible surfboard, on top of the 10 in a row I had to win for the comic gallery. The fifth playable character is Beast. He has his Beast slide with down, back and kick, 3 versions. He has his 2 versions of handspring kick with down, back and kick. Then there's his Beast roll with down, back and weak and mid punches together. His super is hand plant hell with down, forward and weak and mid kicks. His string special is seismic smackdown with down, forward and weak and mid punches. His extreme is flat out with back, down, forward, mid kick. Beast is another of the more fun characters. Being one of the bigger, stronger characters, I was expecting him to be slow as hell to make up for it, but he's pretty quick as well. And he has some of the most painful looking moves in the game. He's so good, he's the character I completed arcade mode the quickest with. I do remember Beast a bit more than the others. He's not exactly forgettable when lined up against the rest of the cast. It helps that The Last Stand is the newest X-Men thing I've watched, and he was pretty prominent in that. There's also the fact that early on this year I rewatched the Spider-Man animated series, and he had a pretty big role in the X-Men crossover. I knew he was a favourite as a kid from what little I can remember back then. I mean, he's the one that looks like a monster, so of course kids would find him cool. I was pretty disappointed he wasn't part of Evolution's main cast back then. His default costume is him, it's just how he looks. The unlockable movie costume just gives him some shiny metal trousers. He wasn't in the first film, so there wasn't much to go with. Clear arcade mode and his intro cutscene is just the jet flying as the camera closes in on him making this gormless expression. Clear Academy mode and his ending as in read a book, but get annoyed when Wolverine starts hammering into the wall, but it's okay because he was hanging up one of Beast's certificates. For survival, I just keep uppercutting them in the corner. 10 wins for the comic gallery and 20 in the movie costume for a gallery of Xavier from the film. And now the last of the 6 default characters, Phoenix. She has 3 levels of Flying Phoenix with down, forward and punch. Inferno Kick is done with down, forward and weak kick, which when done in the air becomes the Inferno Strike, which has 3 versions depending on the kick. Her super special is Hyper Air Strike with down, back and weak and mid kicks in the air. The string special is Double Phoenix with down, forward and weak and mid punches. Her extreme special is Phoenix Force with mid punch, weak punch, down and mid kick, a big barrier. Phoenix felt similar to Storm, but just a bit more fun since she doesn't have any charge inputs to do. Overall, I'd probably say I found her third behind Wolverine and Beast in terms of fun. With Jean, I mainly just remember Dark Phoenix stuff. I remember seeing the resolution of that story in the animated series, but not much about her from Evolution, and of course I remember it in The Last Stand. I felt she definitely came off intimidating, making people disintegrate out of nowhere, so I thought it was a bit of a letdown when it came to just Wolverine giving her a stab. I never liked the love triangle in those films, it just made Wolverine look like a creeper arsehole. Oh yeah, and I never realised she was played by Xenia Onatopp from GoldenEye until I saw it pointed out. She looks like 2 completely different people in each film. Her default outfit is the classic Phoenix outfit, and with everyone else being mostly animated series based, I'm glad they didn't stick her with the basic Jean Grey outfit from that series, that would suck. This one looks much better. Her movie outfit from All Liaison Academy is also changed from the film. Here it's more silver than black, and so I also find it to be an improvement. Complete arcade mode and her intro cutscene has her laser away into a cave with a load of eggs. I'm sure if I knew more about X-Men I'd know what these are, but I don't. One of the aliens goes for her and she prepares to fight it with a blank expression on her face. Clearing Academy and her ending is incredibly short. She enters Cerebro, presses it, gets a welcome message, and it's done. Following that is survival. Inferno Kick is my main strategy, but it's a bit harder since it travels along the ground. I still get the 10 wins for the comic gallery, and then 20 wins with the movie costume for the movie gallery, which has one picture where she's so far in the back you could miss her. These are the basic 6, then there are the 4 bosses, unlocked for each successive arcade mode completion in the order you fight them in this mode. So after one arcade mode completion, I unlock Toad. Toad has Toad Spit with down, forward, weak punch. Toad Kick is done with down, back and weak kick. Then 3 levels of Fly Trap with down, forward and kick. His super special is Kicking Toad with charge back forward, weak and mid punches. Then there's the string special, Frog Legs with down, back, weak and mid punches. His extreme is Flying Toad with chargeback, forward, weak and mid kicks. I fucking hated Toad in this game. If I ever had a roadblock against the AI in arcade mode, it was always this fucker. Nightmare to fight, and then when I actually get around to him, I didn't enjoy playing as him at all. A load of unwieldy moves that only a shithead AI could do well with. My least favourite character in the game, and not just from a gameplay perspective. His voice is unbearably annoying, and the few bits of him I remember watching him in, I hated him. Just an annoying character. His default costume is by far the worst in the game. Ugly. Then there's the unlockable movie costume, which is also crap. Least favourite unlockable costume in the game, just bland and grey and lifeless. I think the game itself agrees with Toad's crappiness, as he isn't even in his own intro cutscene after clearing arcade. It shows Magneto attacking some army guy and bending his gun, which makes him fade. His Academy ending has Magneto give him a trophy for his accomplishments, while Toad just says how everyone likes him. For survival, Toad's bit does it. 10 wins for comic pictures, 20 wins in the movie costume for movie pictures. Clearing arcade mode twice unlocks the second boss character, Mystique, who wields a massive gun. She has 3 cheap shots with down, back and kick, and 3 differently named shots with down, forward and the punches. Dex special is her super with down, back and weak punch and kick. Sum total is her string special with down, back and weak and mid punch. Extreme special is Mystique's surprise with down, forward and weak and mid kick. Mystique wasn't a favourite to play as, but she was an easy one to get through arcade with because she's so easy to spam the normal AI to death with. Mystique is definitely a character I remember more than a lot of others, being pretty prominent in the first 3 films and her role as the principal in Evolution. She was very believable in the films as someone who wasn't doing all this stuff for the sake of being evil but because she's had a life of being shat on. I did find it a shame the way they got rid of her in The Last Stand. It felt very naff for such an important and well-defined character. Her default outfit is her animated series costume and it's pretty good and stands out from everyone else. That's about it. All Liaison Academy gets her movie costume and nah. It works really well in live action but downgraded to PS1 graphics, it looks off. I don't know how to describe it but the pans on her skin make it look less like skin to me and more like she's made out of some kind of fabric. And the hairstyle on this model makes her head look tiny, like it's too small for the rest of the body. I clear arcade mode with her, and if you thought Toad's ending was crap, Mystique gets it worse. Some red lines on a fiery background form the X-Men symbol. That's it. Her Academy ending is exactly the same video as Toad's, but Mystique has her own voice clip when accepting the award. Then Survival, where her spam ability makes it the easiest. 10 wins on default for Comic Gallery, 20 wins in movie costume for Movie Gallery. Clearing arcade mode 3 times unlocks Sabretooth. Dusty Claw with down, forward and weak kick, Ill Treatment with down, back and mid kick, then 3 levels of Dive Claw with charge back, forward and punch. Weapon X is his super with weak punch, mid kick, down and weak punch again. Next is Ground Pound with down, back and weak and mid punch. Extreme is Rampant Strength with weak punch, mid kick, back and mid punch. Sabretooth is just one of those characters whose movesets didn't click with me. He'd be second from the bottom above Toad. He's kind of a grappler and I don't tend to do well with those. Sabretooth is the character I have the least memory of in this roster. I don't remember him in the first film, I don't remember him in the animated series, and only have one memory of him in Evolution, in which I felt bored by a subplot of an episode about him and Wolverine, so I guess I didn't care for their rivalry. I also don't care for his default outfit. I don't know what actual fans think about it, but I think it's pretty hideous. And then I unlock his movie costume through Academy mode. It's okay, better than the default, but his hair and coat being such close colours mean they blend into each other a lot. His arcade ending also doesn't include him. The X-Men symbol appears in Xavier's eye as the camera pans out of his mansion. The end. His Academy ending is once again the Magneto Award ending with his own voice clip. Then for survival, since he has no projectile, I rely on the Dusty Claw. 10 wins for Comic Gallery, 20 in the movie costume for the Movie Gallery. Finally, completing arcade mode 4 times unlocks the game's final boss, Magneto. He has 3 levels of Magnetic Lift with charge back, forward and punch, 3 levels of Power Gush with down, forward and punch, and Lure with down, forward and weak kick. His super, Hypermagnetic Lift, is done with charge back, forward and weak and mid kicks. Hyper Power Gush is done with down, back and weak and mid punches. Then Hyper Lure is done with down, back and weak and mid kicks. Magneto's alright. He's similar to Storm and Phoenix, being a floating character, but of the 3, I enjoyed him the least. Storm and Phoenix were just more fun to me. He's also a complete pushover as a final boss. Just jump in and grab, maybe stun him first with a normal attack. He can't deal with it. Grandad falls for the fake hug and gets mangled every time. It's sad. Magneto's a pretty great villain in the films. I wish I could tell you anything I remember about him in both cartoons though, because I got nothing. For the animated series, I remember him and Xavier in some alternate dimension or something where Xavier could walk. For Evolution, the only bits of footage I can remember is him blowing up some magic spider thing that turns out to be one of the keys holding Apocalypse back. I'm beginning to think this video wasn't thought out very well. His default costume is himself, what else can I say, it's an iconic look for a reason. But then I unlock his movie costume and it doesn't come out as well. The modelling makes him look like the Red Skull in a Batman cosplay. And that's the full roster. It's fine for a low budget first game, nice balance of heroes and villains. The only glaring omissions I'd say are probably Nightcrawler and Rogue, maybe Iceman and Juggernaut if I wanted to go further. Though given the game's scope, I don't think Juggernaut was ever on the cards. I do want to point out though that GameFAQs claims Professor X is unlockable. He is not. He is unlockable in the sequel, but not this game. After clearing Arcade, his intro cutscene continues from Toads. He stops a bullet and then uses his powers to destroy a tank. Clearing Arcade as everyone unlocks the full intro cutscene, showing the order all these FMVs are meant to be placed. I guess they just didn't have the budget to make CG models for Toad, Mystique and Sabretooth. All 10 arcade completions also unlocks another comic gallery called the Historical one. I guess these may be important panels, I can't really tell. His Academy ending has him defacing the Statue of Liberty to depict himself. Is there any other reason to go back to school as an adult? So just survival one more time. Spamming Magnetic Lift does it. 10 wins for a comic gallery and 20 in the movie costume for a movie gallery. That would be it, but there's one more unlockable. Completing arcade mode once again as every character in their movie costumes, which I didn't record, unlocks the behind the scenes gallery, showing a small amount of behind the scenes photos for the first film. Not worth the effort really, but that's the main version of X-Men Mutant Academy. It's okay. It's a game I found to be okay for the £1 or £2 I paid for it, but at a full £30 back then, I don't think so. The game's pretty basic and doesn't offer that much, especially today where the game has 2 sequels with more to mess around with. But there's always the chance someone more into the X-Men than me will get more out of this game than I did. But we're not done yet. This game got a Game Boy Color adaptation. So to start with, the game was reduced to 2 buttons, a punch and a kick. Special moves carried over, but I don't know if it was the result of me playing with a GameCube controller or the way the game was coded. I just couldn't make any work. But this was fine, because crouching and mashing punch turns out to be unbeatable. The enemy can't deal with it and just stand there as you pound away at their shins, watching their health slowly fall. So gameplay is a bust, but note this game does have over the PS1 version a better soundtrack. The music on the PS1 was fine, but I didn't remember any of it by the time I was done with the game. Even months later, I remembered almost every single track from this port that I only played in one night, it's so catchy. Academy mode and the unlockable galleries are gone, but we do have a slightly larger roster. Beast was removed, but to make up for it we gained 2 new exclusive characters in his place. One of those characters is a secret one, along with Phoenix, who is now the new final boss, replacing Magneto, and is unlocked upon defeating her. All the PS1 unlockables are playable by default. So the first exclusive character is Pyro. His special moves exist, but I never used them for reasons I explained. It's odd with Pyro, throughout this entire sub-series he's only exclusive to single consoles. Here he's only on the Game Boy Color, then he skipped Mutant Academy 2 entirely, but then for Next Dimension he's exclusive to the Xbox version, just something I noticed. I do remember him from the films, he was a dick. I remember being let down in The Last Stand when all the build-up from him being a shithead just resulted in a single headbutt literally knocking him out of the film. The final character is only unlocked through a cheat code and it's Apocalypse. Know what I said about Pyro in this sub-series and exclusivity? Well, poor Apocalypse only got to appear in this version of this game. And his face looks like the Iron Giant's head. I have literally never seen Apocalypse in anything. I don't know if he was in the animated series, and for some reason, circumstances made things so that the final key undoing his seal and evolution was the last episode I ever saw of that show. And since I never continued past The Last Stand, I haven't seen his film. So I have literally nothing to say about him. I know him more from Mugen than anything else, so let's just wrap this up. Apocalypse is the only character with an ending, showing him standing over a defeated Phoenix bragging about his superiority. And there's the Game Boy Color version. I found it pretty naff, but still above the first Game Boy Mortal Kombat port due to actually being responsive, faster than them, and with a better soundtrack. The 2 exclusive characters were a neat bonus for those who didn't own the console version I suppose, but it's a shame the game couldn't really do them justice. Still surprised by how good that soundtrack was though.